Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something personal. What is it that you've been yearning for? A dream? A person? Peace? You've prayed, you've journaled, you've visualized, but it hasn't shown up yet. And tonight, I'll tell you why. Because wanting something isn't enough. You don't get what you want, you get what you're aligned with. This message isn't just a teaching, it's a transformation. If you listen through to the end, you will understand why your deepest desires have been delayed and how to unlock them with the power already within you. So stay with me, because this is your divine wake-up call. Everything you want is on the other side of one decision: to release and receive. You've been asking for light while dragging chains. What are you still holding on to? Unforgiveness? Fear? Shame? Scarcity? You can't climb while clutching baggage. You can fly while grounded by your past. To release is to rise. And until you let go of what was, you'll never make room for what can be. There's a spiritual law called the law of the vacuum. When you remove what doesn't serve you, something better comes to fill the space. But here's the catch. Most people don't release because they don't trust the replacement. They cling to toxic relationships, to old identities, self-limiting beliefs. Release isn't just about letting go. It's about trusting what's coming next. You can cry about your dreams all day. You can want it with all your soul, but the universe doesn't respond to emotion. It responds to energy. Receive love. Be love. To receive abundance, embody abundance. To attract peace, become peace. You become a magnet for what matches your frequency. Some of you are trying to manifest while still clinging to control. Let me lovingly tell you, control is the enemy of attraction. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to know how. You just need to believe it's already yours, because surrender isn't giving up, it's giving over. Everything you want has already been created in the spirit realm. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when you align. So today, say this out loud. I release the old, I welcome the new, I am ready to receive. You don't need to chase anymore. Beg. You don't need to beg. You don't need to force. You only need to become. This isn't a motivational speech. This is your confirmation that the waiting is over. The shift has begun. When you release, you attract. And when you trust, you receive. So don't just hear this message, live it. Because everything you want is already on its way. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. That single truth has the power to alter the course of your life forever. We've been conditioned to believe that desire alone is enough. That if we want something badly, if we pray hard enough, cry long enough, or hustle relentlessly, it will eventually be ours. But desire without alignment is like a locked door without a key. You can knock, you can plead, you can even try to break it down, but it won't open until you become someone who matches what lies on the other side. Most people don't get this. They run from goal to goal, dream to dream, relationship to relationship, wondering why the outcome is always just out of reach. But the truth is, you can't out-hustle your inner state. The energy you carry, the beliefs you hold, and the emotions you store within you, those are what shape your reality. Wanting something doesn't make you ready to receive it. Only alignment does. Alignment is when your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, and your spiritual posture all reflect the thing you say you want. Imagine a radio trying to tune into a specific station. If it's not set to the right frequency, it won't pick up the music, no matter how powerful the signal is. The station is there, the music is playing, but unless you're tuned in, you'll never hear it. It's the same with your desires. The love you want is real. The abundance you crave is real. The peace, the purpose, the healing, it's all there, but you got to match the frequency. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think if I get the thing I want, then I'll feel happy, peaceful, confident. But the universe doesn't work like that. It's not get, then feel. It's feel, then get. You have to generate the state before the outcome shows up. That means if you want peace, you can't wait until your life calms down to feel it. You cultivate peace right in the middle of the storm. If you want love, you don't wait for the perfect partner to show up. You become loving, open, whole. You become what you seek. That's alignment. Alignment also means examining your inner world and asking the hard questions. What beliefs are you holding that contradict your desires? Are you asking for financial abundance while believing you're unworthy? Or fearing that money is evil? Are you asking for a soulmate while still carrying wounds from past relationships that you haven't healed? Are you visualizing success, but subconsciously fearing visibility and responsibility? These inner contradictions are not just delays, they're blocks. To align is to be honest, brutally honest. It's taking inventory of your thoughts, your speech, your choices, and your environment. It's cutting out what drains your energy and cultivating what raises your vibration. It's understanding that you don't need to earn what you want. You simply need to become the version of yourself who already has it. This kind of transformation isn't about adding more layers. It's about stripping away fear, stripping away comparison, stripping away the lies you've believed about yourself. When you do that, something powerful happens. You don't just attract what you want, you attract things you didn't even know you were ready for. Because the universe doesn't give you what you beg for, it gives you what you are an energetic match for. Now, let's talk about energy. Because it's not some vague mystical concept, it's real, it's measurable. You can walk into a room and feel when someone is joyful, heavy, anxious, or radiant. That's energy. And your energy speaks louder than your words, your clothes, or your achievements. You want to attract opportunities? Raise your energy. You want to attract breakthroughs? Release bitterness, forgive, and open up space for new beginnings. Alignment is also a daily practice. It's not a one-time decision. Every morning you wake up, you choose again. Will I align with fear or faith? Will I align with scarcity or abundance? Will I align with my past or my potential? These micro choices compound. They set the tone. They recalibrate your frequency. And slowly but surely, your life begins to shift to match your new internal state. This is the truth that so many miss. It's not about chasing. It's about becoming. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So if you want to change what you receive, change who you're being. Let your energy go ahead of you. Let your belief anchor you. Let your alignment become your magnetism. And watch as the life you once chased starts running straight toward you. Letting go isn't losing, it's magnetizing. The moment you release something that no longer serves you, you don't end up with less. You open the door for more. But most people don't see it that way. They see letting go as giving up, as weakness, as failure. They cling to relationships that drain them, jobs that diminish them, identities that confine them. Not because those things are fulfilling, but because they're familiar. The fear of the unknown, the fear of emptiness, convinces them that holding on is safer. But holding on to what's dead is what blocks what's alive. Letting go is the most courageous act you can take on your journey to attract everything you truly desire. There is a sacred law that governs this universe, the law of energetic space. Just like a room filled with clutter can't welcome new beauty, your life, when stuffed with fear, resentment, regret, or toxic attachments, cannot make space for blessings to enter. The reason so many people feel stuck isn't because they're not working hard enough. It's because they're full of old stories, full of emotional residue, full of expired chapters. And you can't pour new wine into an old wineskin without it bursting. You've got to pour out before you pour in. Most people underestimate the power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring, it means not depending. It means refusing to let anything outside of you determine your worth, your peace, or your direction. It means recognizing that your source is not in a person, a paycheck, or a plan. It's within. And when you let go of the illusion of control, you give the universe room to rearrange things in your favor. The release is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your magnetism. Letting go is not passive. It's not sitting on the floor waiting for the storm to pass. Letting go is intentional. It's choosing to unclench your fists when your mind screams to grip tighter. It's surrendering the timing, the outcome, the expectations. It's releasing the need to prove, to be understood, to be validated. And in doing so, you rise. Your energy becomes lighter, your presence becomes more powerful, and your life begins to draw in exactly what is meant for you. Look around and you'll see people exhausted, not because they're doing too much, but because they're holding on too tightly. Holding on to old pain, to people who've outgrown their season, to dreams that were never really theirs. We think that attachment equals loyalty, but often it equals stagnation. There is wisdom in knowing when to hold on, but there is divine power in knowing when to let go. It takes strength to say this chapter is over. It takes faith to trust that a better one is coming. And it takes vision to see the difference between persistence and imprisonment. Letting go creates a vacuum. That's not an absence. It's a calling. Life rushes to fill it. If you release fear, courage begins to flood in. If you release shame, confidence finds you. If you release anxiety, peace makes its way to your doorstep. This is how magnetism works. You don't chase what's meant for you, you prepare for it. You open the door for it, you clear the space for it. And then, without effort or desperation, it arrives. You don't need to know what's coming next in order to let go of what's now. You just need to know this. What's meant for you will not pass you by. But if your hands are full, you won't be able to receive it. If your heart is crowded, love will feel suffocating. If your mind is tangled in fear, opportunity will feel like a threat. Letting go creates stillness. And in that stillness, clarity arises. Direction returns, vision sharpens. One of the most misunderstood truths is that release is not the loss of power. It's the reclaiming of it. When you let go, you stop leaking energy into things that no longer belong to you. You pull that power back into yourself. And that power doesn't just sit idle. It transforms you. It elevates you. It makes you magnetic to the things that are already looking for you. You don't need to chase them. Just get out of your own way. So many people say they want change, but they refuse to let go of what keeps them stuck. Change doesn't come by dragging the old into the new. It comes when you bury the old and rise as someone ready for more. The act of release is sacred. It's spiritual. And it is always followed by divine compensation. What you lose in the natural, you gain tenfold in the spiritual. But only if you're willing to walk away before the replacement arrives. So ask yourself right now, what am I still holding on to that's blocking my blessing? What have I convinced myself I need when in truth, it's just a weight I'm too afraid to drop? Know this. What's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. But you'll never taste it until you let go of what's poisoning your present. The more you release, the more you rise. The more you let go, the more you attract. Because letting go isn't losing, it's magnetizing. It's how you invite in everything you were born to receive. There's a hidden law that governs everything around you, whether you recognize it or not. The law of the vacuum. It's not just a poetic idea. It's a spiritual and energetic reality. Nature hates emptiness. Wherever there is space, life rushes in to fill it. The air fills an empty room. Roots grow into cracks in the pavement. Water flows into any container you set before it. And your life, your energy field, your spiritual container is no different. If there is no room in your life, there is no arrival. But the moment you create space, real intentional space, something begins to shift. You begin to attract. You begin to receive. The problem for most people isn't that they're not worthy. It's not that they're not gifted or smart or even faithful. The problem is that they're full of distractions, full of outdated beliefs, full of emotional clutter. And in a life overflowing with the unnecessary, the essential has no room to enter. The things we say we want, peace, purpose, abundance, connection, can't come in because there's nowhere to put them. The law of the vacuum says that if you release, you will receive. If you make space, it will be filled. But you must go first. You must initiate the clearing. Clearing space is not just about organizing your house or deleting old contacts. It's about energetic alignment. It's about removing the emotional and spiritual residue that no longer serves you. If you are still emotionally entangled with your past, you haven't made space for your future. If your mind is constantly rehashing old arguments, regrets, or wounds, your soul is not free to welcome new healing. If your spirit is still tied to an identity built on pain or fear, then the identity built on purpose and vision cannot anchor. The vacuum doesn't work in cluttered hearts. It only works in clean ones. This is why letting go is such a sacred act. It's not just about what you're losing, it's about what you're making room for. When you end a toxic relationship, you're not just experiencing absence. You're making room for peace, for self-worth, for new love. When you walk away from a job that's suffocating your purpose, you're not just losing a paycheck. You're making room for alignment, creativity, and opportunity. And when you choose to release your grip on anxiety, guilt, or shame, you're opening the gates to joy, to confidence, to grace. But most people resist the vacuum. They fear the emptiness. They worry that if they let go, nothing better will come. So they hold on, even when it hurts. They tolerate mediocrity. They settle for less. They keep the toxic friendship, the half-hearted commitment, the draining habit, not because it fulfills them, but because they're afraid of being without. But here's the truth. Emptiness is never the end. It is always the invitation. The vacuum doesn't last. It activates. The emptiness draws in something new. But only when you stop resisting it The key is to learn to trust the vacuum, to trust that the universe doesn't leave spaces empty, that your life, when surrendered, doesn't go into chaos, it goes into divine order. This requires faith, it requires patience, and it requires surrender. Because when you clear space, you don't always see instant results. Sometimes there is a gap, a pause, a silence. And in that silence, you'll be tempted to fill the space with something, anything. You will feel the urge to go back to what's familiar, to settle, to numb, to replace the old with another version of the same. But resist that urge. Hold the space. Protect the vacuum. Trust that what's coming is better than what you left. When you master the vacuum, you master manifestation. Because now, you're not just attracting from a place of desperation or need. You're attracting from a place of readiness. The space you've cleared becomes a beacon, a signal, a gravitational pull. It says, I'm ready. I've prepared. I've let go. And the universe responds. It sends you the partner who meets you at your worth. It sends you the opportunity that matches your passion. It sends you the peace that surpasses understanding. Not because you begged, but because you made room. You don't have to force what's meant for you. You don't have to chase it down. Just create space, and what's meant for you will find you. You don't attract blessings by clinging. You attract them by clearing. You attract them by trusting, by knowing that the vacuum is not punishment, it's preparation. So take a moment right now and ask yourself, what am I afraid to release? What am I still holding on to that no longer aligns with the person I'm becoming? What clutter is crowding my mind, my heart, my soul? And then have the courage to create the vacuum. Because when you do, everything you've been asking for, everything you've been praying for, everything you've been silently hoping for, will begin to move. It will come not because you forced it, but because you finally made space for it. You can't force love. You can't force success. You can't force peace, healing, or abundance. And yet so many people try. They push. They hustle. They strive with all their might only to find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and spiritually bankrupt. Because the truth is, attraction doesn't happen through force. It happens through frequency. This world, this universe operates on vibration. Everything you see, touch, feel, and think carries energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, they all broadcast a signal. And that signal is what determines what you attract into your life. It's not about how badly you want something. It's about whether or not you're vibrating on the same level as what you want. Think of it like a radio. You want to hear a certain station, but your dial is set to the wrong frequency. It doesn't matter how loudly you ask for it. It doesn't matter how long you wait or how much you believe that station should be playing. Until you tune your dial to the right frequency, you're never going to hear the music. That's what most people miss. They're trying to manifest love while vibrating in fear. They're trying to call in abundance while living in a frequency of lack. They try to find peace while drowning in anxiety. There's a disconnect between what they want and what they are energetically aligned with. Attraction isn't magic, it's resonance. When your inner state matches the reality you want to live, doors open. Things begin to flow. People appear. Opportunities unfold. Not because you forced them to, but because you aligned with them. This is why doing inner work is non-negotiable. You can't just affirm something with your mouth while your heart is still broken, your mind is still doubting, and your spirit is still tied to the past. You have to become the kind of person who naturally attracts what you desire. And becoming that person takes intention. It takes honesty. It takes healing. The eighth sense. You can't attract love if you're still bitter from your last heartbreak. That bitterness has a frequency. It pushes love away even when it's standing in front of you. You can't attract abundance if you're constantly telling yourself that money is evil or that you're not worthy. Those beliefs are energy. They repel the very thing you claim to want. And you certainly can't attract peace if your daily habits are rooted in chaos, overthinking, and self-judgment. Attraction is not about doing more. It's about becoming more aware of who you're being. Your energy speaks louder than anything else. People can feel it before you say a word. You walk into a room and without even realizing it, others pick up on your frequency. Are you radiating confidence or insecurity? Are you giving off love or resistance? Are you embodying abundance or fear? This is why changing your frequency changes your life. Because the world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are. So the question is, how do you raise your frequency? It starts with awareness. You have to tune into your thoughts and emotions. Catch the narratives you've been repeating in your mind. Are they empowering or limiting? Are they based in love or fear? Next, be intentional about what you allow into your energy field. Your environment matters. The music you listen to, the shows you watch, the conversations you entertain, all of these things feed your frequency. Impact your space. Surround yourself with what uplifts and inspires. Then get in the habit of embodying what you want now, not later. Don't wait for the relationship to feel love. Don't wait for the paycheck to feel abundant. Don't wait for the success to feel confident. Feel it now. Act as if. Live in the energy of what you're calling in. That's not pretending. It's pre-calling. It tells the universe, I'm already ready. And that readiness creates momentum. It pulls your desires into your life without force. Also, don't forget the power of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrations you can emit. When you're truly grateful, you shift from a state of lack to a state of sufficiency. You stop focusing on what's missing and start appreciating what's already here. And in doing so, you attract more because the universe expands whatever you're thankful for. Gratitude isn't just polite, it's magnetic. Attraction is not about controlling the external. It's about mastering the internal. It's about becoming a match for what you say you want. When your energy is right, the right people, the right timing, the right doors, they all show up. Not because you manipulated them, but because you drew them in by being in alignment. So stop forcing, start tuning. Don't chase, align. Don't beg, believe. The power to attract everything you want isn't out there. It's within you. Change your frequency and everything around you will change in response. That's not a theory, that's law. Releasing is an act of faith, and attracting is the result of trust. At the very core of every transformation, at the foundation of every true manifestation lies one unshakable truth. You cannot attract what you do not trust yourself to receive. You may say you want abundance, love, healing, clarity. But the question isn't what you want. The real question is, do you trust that it's already yours? Do you believe deep down that it belongs to you even before you see it? That's where most people get stuck. They release with one hand, but grasp with the other. They say they've surrendered, but their heart still holds on tightly to fear, doubt, and timelines. Faith is the posture that says, I don't have to see it to believe it. I believe it, and therefore I will see it. This kind of faith doesn't beg. It doesn't force. It doesn't micromanage the universe. It stands still, rooted, calm in the waiting. And when you release from that place of faith, when you let go of needing to control the how and when, you initiate a ripple effect. Energy clears, resistance dissolves, and the very thing you've been praying for begins to make its way toward you, not because you chased it, but because you made room for it with your trust. But trust is hard when you've been disappointed. Trust is difficult when life hasn't always been kind. And so many people struggle to release because they're afraid that nothing better will come. They hold on to broken relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and stale routines, not because they love them, but because they don't trust that anything more aligned, more fulfilling, more sacred could really be waiting for them. There's so many things coming up to replay and refocus some of your imagined dreams that they can create discomfort. That's the lie that keeps so many stuck. But here's the truth. The act of releasing is not the loss of what was. It is the invitation for what could be. It is the declaration that says, I believe something better is on its way, and I don't have to compromise my soul to receive it. There's a sacred stillness that follows a true release. It's not empty. It's not quiet out of neglect. It's a charged, holy space, like the silence right before dawn. That stillness is often misunderstood. It makes people anxious. They say, I let go, but nothing's happening. But something is happening. Under the surface, in the unseen, things are shifting. Trust allows you to stand in that stillness without anxiety. Trust allows you to say, just because I can't see it yet, doesn't mean it's not working. Just because I'm in the in-between, doesn't mean I've been forgotten. This level of trust transforms your energy. It moves you from desperation to peace, from grasping to openness, from fear to magnetism. Because trust feels different. It breathes deeper. It walks lighter. And the universe responds to that energy. It recognizes it as readiness. It recognizes it as maturity. And it brings to you not just what you want, but what you're truly ready to hold. There's a kind of alignment that only trust can build. When you trust, you stop trying to control everything around you. You stop asking when every 5 minutes. You stop rehearsing your fears and begin rehearsing your gratitude. You start showing up as if your desire has already been fulfilled. That shift, subtle but profound, is what opens the doors. You move from wishing to welcoming, from hoping to holding, from waiting to receiving. Because when you release with faith, you clear the runway. And when you trust, you invite the landing. It's important to understand that trust is not passive. It is not lazy. It is not apathy. Trust is active surrender. It is choosing every day to show up with belief, to align your actions with your intentions, and to keep your heart open even when the evidence hasn't arrived. It is saying, even in the delay, I'm aligned. Even in the silence, I'm certain. Even when it looks like nothing's happening, I'm still expanding. The reason people fail to attract what they want is not always because they're asking for the wrong thing. is because they never fully released their resistance. They never fully trusted the process. They prayed, but they kept worrying. They surrendered, but they kept controlling. That tug of war creates energetic confusion, and confusing delays manifestation. But the moment you let go and truly trust, you send a signal that cannot be misunderstood. You're ready. So if you're holding onto something today, an outcome, a timeline, a person, a version of yourself, ask this: is it serving your trust or feeding your fear? If it's the latter, it's time to release. Not with panic, not with despair, but with the quiet power of someone who knows they're divinely supported. Because when you release with faith, and when you trust with your whole being, you don't just attract, you align. And once you align, everything that's meant for you begins to find its way home. Not because you chased it, but because you believed it was already yours. The moment you truly believe that what you desire is already yours, everything begins to shift. It doesn't start with external circumstances. It begins with a change in your inner world. Most people live in a state of waiting for the right person to show up, waiting for the opportunity to knock, waiting for the money to appear. They live suspended between desire and doubt, never fully stepping into the energy of receiving. But here's the truth that can set you free. What you desire has already been created in the spiritual realm. It already exists. The only thing that determines how and when it manifests in your life is your level of readiness to receive it. And readiness is not about doing more. It's about believing more deeply. It's about trusting so completely that the only thing left to do is open your hands and receive. So many people pray, hope, and ask, and yet they live as if the answer will always be delayed. They pray for healing, but keep identifying with their wounds. They ask for love, but stay guarded and cynical. They visualize success, but operate from fear and insecurity. That inner contradiction creates resistance, and resistance delays delivery. The universe doesn't withhold your blessings out of punishment. It withholds them because your hands are not yet open. Your heart is not yet surrendered. You haven't become the version of you who can receive what you've asked for. It's not the desire that's in question. It's the alignment. That's why the moment you step into full trust, the atmosphere changes. Your energy shifts. Your frequency elevates. You stop chasing, you stop striving, you stop questioning whether or not it's possible. And instead you move with certainty. You act as if the answer has already arrived, because on a spiritual level it has. You stop saying if it comes and start declaring when it comes. You don't worry about how it will happen. You know that it's not your job. Your job is to believe. Your job is to prepare. Your job is to stay open, grateful, and aligned. When you trust that it's already done, your spirit enters a state of rest. Not laziness, not idleness, but peace. A stillness that no external circumstance can shake. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're no longer begging for crumbs. You're sitting at the table waiting for the feast that's already being prepared. You start moving differently, speaking differently. You let go of timelines. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop obsessing over the details. Because deep down, you know, it's already mine. I'm just aligning with it in real time. This kind of trust doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. Because now you're not reacting to life. You're co-creating with it. You're not thrown off by delays or detours. You see them for what they are. Divine rearrangements that are placing the right pieces together behind the scenes. You know that just because you can't see it with your eyes doesn't mean it's not on its way. You understand that the spiritual realm always precedes the physical. Everything you see in the material world was once unseen, once just energy and intention. And what you've planted in faith will bloom in time if you don't dig it up with doubt. When you carry the energy of certainty, you become magnetic. Opportunities find you. People are drawn to you. Doors open for you, not because you forced them, but because your belief created the conditions for them to arrive. Your energy said, I'm ready. And the universe responded, then here it is. That's how attraction works. That's how miracles unfold. Not through effort alone, but through alignment and unwavering trust. Think of all the time and energy we waste in fear, doubt, and impatience. All the moments we spend trying to control outcomes, manipulate timing, or overanalyze signs. What if instead we devoted that energy to gratitude, to preparation, to becoming more aligned with the life we claim to desire? That shift alone could unlock more in a week than fear could ever accomplish in a year. Because faith accelerates, trust magnetizes, belief clears the path. So take a moment and ask yourself, do I truly believe it's already mine? Or am I still living in a mindset of delay and distance? The gap between you and your desire is not measured in miles. It's measured in belief. The stronger your belief, the shorter the distance. And when that belief becomes unshakable, the gap closes entirely. You don't have to chase what's meant for you. You just have to become someone who is ready to receive it. That means letting go of control, letting go of fear, and stepping fully into the knowing that it's already done. You are not waiting for life to happen. Life is waiting for you to trust. And the moment you do, you realize what you've been seeking has been seeking you too all along. This isn't a motivational speech. This is your confirmation that the waiting is over. The shift has begun. When you release, you attract. And when you trust, you receive. So don't just hear this message, live it, because everything you want is already on its way.